No, ma'am.
All the topics which we have discussed, you will be able to prepare
Yes, ma'am.
nicely.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Raj will be able to prepare. Raj,
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, कुछ डाउट तो नहीं है, सब अच्छे से हो जाएगा ना तैयार?
Yes, ma'am.
ओके, देन देवरत्न, Rumisha,
No, ma'am.
you'll be able to prepare all topics now
Yes,
of this
ma'am.
chapter. Okay. And Barbie, very clear all topics. Okay. Now you all know that from this chapter, what all you have to prepare. So I'm presenting my screen. So little revision. I'm showing you some video of this neural control and coordination. So try to see it, and then we will start with the new chapter. So the central nervous system, we'll try to see a little bit. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's taking time. What happened?
Autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is a part of the peripheral nervous system. It controls and regulates the internal organs involuntarily. The autonomic nervous system comprises two axes of nerves, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve systems. The sympathetic nervous system is related to stress. It increases the heartbeat, blood flow, and dilates the pupil. The sympathetic nervous system connects the internal organs to the brain by spinal nerves. The sympathetic nervous system originates in the spinal cord. The cell bodies of the preganglionic neuron are located in the thoracic and lumbar spinal cord. Axons from these neurons project to a chain of ganglia located near the spinal cord. In most cases, this neuron makes a synapse with postganglionic neurons in the ganglion. The postganglionic neuron connects to a muscle or a gland. The parasympathetic nervous system is related to rest and relaxation. It increases digestive secretions, reduces the heartbeat, and constricts the pupil. The parasympathetic nervous system originates in the sacral region of the spinal cord and in the medulla. In the medulla, the cranial nerves 3, 7, 9, and 10 form the preganglionic parasympathetic fibers. The preganglionic fibers connect to ganglia close to the organs. Summary. The autonomic nervous system controls the involuntary functions of the body. The sympathetic nerves prepare the organism for stress conditions. The parasympathetic nerves work antagonistically to the sympathetic nerves.
Could you understand the sympathetic and parasympathetic? Neha, heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this was just the revision, what we have done in detail the first period. Okay, that all was just a repetition. It's taking time, it's not opening fast. So we'll start with the next chapter. You can leave according to the work which you have done. If you have drawn the diagrams which I have said, so then it's okay. And if you have not drawn, then you leave the pages and then start with the new chapter. So we will start with the chapter, write down locomotion and movement. We will start with the chapter 20, locomotion and movement. So remember children, in your notebook, chapter wise all work should be done. Okay, whatever chapter means including the figures, it should be drawn in your notebook. So today we'll start with the last chapter of this unit, that is locomotion and movement. So we start with, now you all know that for the movement and locomotion of the body, there are two systems involved. What are those two systems? Can anyone tell? What
Skeletal
are the
system.
two systems?
Skeletal system.
Skeletal system and the other one?
Muscular system.
Again?
Nervous system.
No, nervous system will not do that. How you are able to move your hand or your
Muscular system.
fingers? Muscular system. Okay. So write down quickly in your notebook that two systems help, two organ systems help in the movement and locomotion. And they are the skeletal system and the other one, the muscular system. So we will start with the muscular system that has been added up in your syllabus. The whole of the human skeleton has been deleted. Okay, so we will start with the muscular system. So now try to note down that muscles account for 40 to 50% of the total body weight. They are mesodermal in origin. So mesodermal, when you say mesodermal in origin, it means that it arises from the mesoderm, which is the middle germ layer. And all the muscles, remember, they are contractile in nature. So we have done this muscles, the types of muscles in 9th class. So we will try to understand the detailed structure of the striated muscle. In ninth, you did just a basic structure. Now you'll do it the electron microscopic structure of the striated muscle. So, can anyone name the three types of the muscle fibers? Raj will name. Raj, Raj is not there. Devanshi, can you name the three different types of the muscle fibers?
Yes, ma'am. Stripped, unstripped, and cardiac muscle.
Name it again.
Stripped, unstripped, and cardiac muscle.
Okay, striped muscle and striped muscle. So striped muscle, we also call it as striated muscle or the voluntary muscle, or we also call it as skeletal muscles. And the other one, unstriated or unstriped muscle, and they are involuntary muscles. Okay, and the other one, the last is the cardiac, which is found in the heart, and that is involuntary in nature. So you know only one muscle fiber is there which is voluntary, and that is the striated muscle fiber or the skeletal muscle fiber. As the name suggests, the skeletal, it is attached to the bones and the cartilages which makes up our skeleton. So I hope everyone is remembering that. We will start with the now in this, since the cardiac muscle fiber and your smooth muscle fiber, that is your unstriped muscle fiber, does not play the role in movement and locomotion of the body, we will not study that. Okay, in this chapter, you have to understand one type of muscle fiber, that is skeletal muscle. So, skeletal muscle, it is associated with the skeletal system of the body. And since these muscles are attached to the bones and cartilages, when they will contract, they will move the bones and the cartilages. So they have striped appearance. Striped means they have alternate light and dark bands. That is, it will have the different strips, light and dark. So you are calling it striped muscle or striated muscle fiber when you see it under the microscope. So those light and dark bands are visible and they are voluntary in nature. So they work according to our wish and involuntary in locomotor reactions and changes in the body posture. Okay, so there are certain ones which are helping in the body posture. Now, the next we'll try to see the visceral muscles. So, situated in the inner walls of the hollow visceral organs, they are called the smooth muscles. So, little idea you should have, and then help in transporting the food through the digestive tract and gametes through the genital tract. These are all the smooth muscles. And the last one is the cardiac, which is found in the heart, and they are the branched muscles. They have faint cross striations, तो वो भी थोड़ा सा हमको striated दिखता है, and involuntary. Okay, because the nervous system does not control their activities directly. So we will not study based on the shape. Then based on the size, the classification has been done. Based on the action you find, the flexor, extensor, abductor, adductor, and elevator muscles are there. So just the names. And on the basis of the action, the different muscles are there. The depressor muscle, dilator muscle, sphincter muscles, then the rotator muscles. So this classification you don't have to do. And this you all have heard number of the origins. So biceps, triceps, and the quadriceps are there. So biceps, triceps, you all have done. Now we will start with the structure of the skeletal muscle. So you can note down in your notebook, and this is very important, which you have to do it in detail. The same figure you will find it in your textbook also. So the skeletal muscle or the striated muscle, which is involved in the movement and locomotion, it is made up of many muscle bundles. So you can see here, one this bundle is there. Inside it you can find these one, two, three, four, five, six, that way many are present. So this whole bundle is known as fascicles. How many bundles are visible in this figure, Raj? Can Raj tell? Raj is not there. Devratna is there.
Yes, ma'am.
So say how many bundles are visible? How many fascicles are visible in this figure?
Ma'am, 5.
If you have understood what is fine, correct. Okay, so if you have understood fascicle, तो आपको इधर फिगर में समझ में आ जाएगा. So this is that muscle bundles. Okay, so skeletal muscle is made up of many muscle bundles, and each bundle we call it as the fascicles. And they are held together. ये सारे bundle देखो ये इस covering से covered है, and that is the connective tissue which is known as fascia. So this should be known that what is the structure of the skeletal muscle. You note down that skeletal muscle is made up of many muscle bundles called fascicles, which are held together by the connective tissue called fascia. Now, each bundle is syncytium. It means that it is having many nuclei. So made up of many multinucleated muscle fibers. So you all know skeletal muscles are multinucleated, isn't it? So they have multinucleated muscle fibers. तो हर बंडल में देखो कितने दिख रहे हैं, ये देखो बहुत सारे दिख रहे हैं. These dark circles or oval shaped structures are there. These are muscle fibers. तो muscle fibers का muscle क्या बन गया? Fascicle बना. बहुत सारे fascicles जुड़ के क्या बने? Muscle बने. Okay, so that you remember, and they are not differentiated into cells. And sarcoplasm is enclosed in a sarcolemma. So the covering of each muscle fiber is known as sarcolemma. What is sarcolemma? So you can write down each muscle fiber is enclosed or covered by or surrounded by sarcolemma. जैसे plasma membrane is the covering of the cell, the same way covering of the muscle fiber is known as sarcolemma. Barbie, Neha, Devrat, are you remembering this? You did in ninth also.
Yes, ma'am.
So sarcolemma. And inside the sarcolemma, the fluid which is filled is known as sarcoplasm. So you write it, and inside it, the fluid is present known as sarcoplasm. As inside the cell we have cytoplasm. So same way in the muscle fiber, the fluid which is filled is known as sarcoplasm. And just like endoplasmic reticulum you have in all the other cells, in the muscle fiber we find the sarcoplasmic reticulum. What is present? Sarcoplasmic reticulum, and it is a storehouse for calcium ions. Sarcoplasm has sarcoplasmic reticulum. Understood? Now try to understand further the structure that each muscle fiber is made up of the myofibrils or myofilaments. Very important now. Should I repeat this much? Rumisha, Barbie,
Yes, ma'am.
should I repeat this much? Because now I am entering inside the structure of the muscle fiber. अभी इतना समझ लो that muscle is made up of the bundles, and bundles are the vesicles, and these vesicles together they are covered by the fascia. फिर हर बंडल के अंदर what is present? Muscle fibers are there. These muscle fibers are covered by the sarcolemma, and inside the sarcolemma, sarcoplasm is there. And sarcoplasm has the sarcoplasmic reticulum which stores the calcium ions. Okay, now in the sarcoplasm or in the muscle fiber, there are many thin filaments and you call them myofibrils. What are these known as? Myofibrils. And myofibrils, they are having the alternate light and dark bands. The myofibril is made up of the contractile protein, that is actin and myosin. Each of the myofibril is
Ma'am,
having alternate, yes,
ma'am, will you please take again the last slide?
last one. Okay. Try to see up what you have to understand, that this single you try to take up. This single circle, the red color, the pink color, the single one, when you see, inside it you will find it will have many myofibrils. And each myofibril will have alternate light and dark band. Has alternate light and dark band. Is it clear? So you find these muscle fibers, they are supplied with the blood vessels also. So that's why it's showing here blood capillaries. Okay, blue ones the veins, the red ones the arteries. This much is clear to everyone. Shall we take up the structure of the myofibril now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So each myofibril is having the alternating light and dark bands, and that is why you are calling it striated. And now this light and dark band is due to the presence of the contractile protein. So what are the two different types of the proteins present? Actin and myosin. Now, actin, so you can write down separately. Why you are calling it as light band and dark band? वो क्यों light अपन कह रहे हैं, क्यों dark कह रहे हैं? Because of the type of proteins present in it, or which is forming these bands. The actin will create the light band. It is known as the I band or isotropic band. So write down the light band or I band or isotropic band. And it will have which protein? Which protein I band will have?
Actin protein.
Actin.
Actin protein. फिर लिखो dark band or A band or anisotropic band. Dark band is called A band or anisotropic band, and it is made up of myosin. It is made up of myosin. So these actin and myosin, they are arranged parallel to each other. Parallel to each other, and that is how. So what you will find in one band, that is in particular region पूरा actin present है, फिर आगे उसके बाद alternate में फिर myosin है, फिर actin है, फिर myosin है, that way. So you find alternate light and dark bands. Okay, light and dark bands are formed. Light band is formed of the actin protein and dark band is formed of the myosin protein. Clear this much? Raj, this much is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'll take up the next. Now try to see this light and dark band. So actin is a thin filament. Now try to see actin is a thin filament while myosin is a thick filament. An elastic fiber bisects the eye band. It is called Z line. Okay, अब इस बात को समझ लो that in the center of the eye band there is a Z line. Okay, in the center of the eye band is which band? Dark or light?
Light.
लाइट बैंड. उस लाइट बैंड के बीच में एक डार्क लाइन है और उस डार्क लाइन को अपन बोलते हैं जेड लाइन. इज इट वेरी क्लियर? द actin filament is thin and in that actin protein you will find जो light band है उसके बीच में एक dark line है and that is known as the Z line. Okay, so you will find एक light band हुआ, फिर dark हुआ, फिर light हुआ. Now you will find that in the light band Z line will be present in the center of it. Okay, now you will find between the two Z lines, you will find a little light band, फिर पूरा dark band, then light band, half part. So the portion between the two Z lines, we call it as the functional sarcomere. It is known as the functional sarcomere. Now, in the resting state, the thick filament partially overlaps the free ends of the thin filament. Now, before that, you write out the dark band. You have understood and written also that the eye band, to the center of the eye band, there is a dark line. And what is the dark line called? Speak
Z
up.
line.
Z line. Okay. Now, between two Z line, what is it?
Functional
The
sarcomere.
portion between the two segments is known as functional sarcomere. Okay. And now we'll try to understand the myosine. That is your dark band. Now, in the center of the dark band, there is a light line. Okay. And that light line is known as the Hansen's disk. What is it known as? Hansen's. You write down capital HANSEN apostrophe S. Hansen's disk. Should I write down or you'll be able to write? Hansen's disk. And that is why we call it as the H disk or the H zone. So myosine is having the H disk in the center and the actin is having the Z line. Hansen's disk. And that has been written here as the M line. Free ends of the thin filament is called the H zone. Overlapped by the free ends of the thin filament called the H zone. Now try to see children in this figure. Okay, in the center, 1, 2 and 3. This is your myosine. Are you getting, can you see my cursor?
Yes, ma'am.
Neha?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. So I am pointing out this, that one, you find this one in the center of, and then the second one and the third one. This is a myosine filament. Now, on both the sides, can you see these black colored lines, this and this? Could you understand? Could you see my cursor? This black line on both the sides, these are your Z lines. What are these?
Z
Speak
line.
up.
Z line.
Z line. Okay. Now Z line, I said that it is present between the
Light band.
लाइट बैंड. ठीक है, तो ये जो है ये लाइट बैंड है. लाइट बैंड का आधा इस तरफ आधा है, इस तरफ आधा है. तो एक ये जेड लाइट एक इसकी हो गई, एक इधर इसकी हो गई. और यू नो दैट ऑल्टरनेट लाइट एंड डार्क है. Okay, so this is the light band, then the dark band, then again the light band, and this is the Z line. So the distance or the portion between two Z line is known as the functional sarcomere. Followed, and you find this functional sarcomere will have the light band on both the sides and in the center the dark band. Did you get it? Now what will happen during the contraction? अब ये इसका resting state है. Resting state will find that thick filament. Which is the thick filament? This dark band. Okay, so thick filament will overlap the free ends of thin filament partially. Are you getting ये overlap हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है? Are you getting this point? After writing this structure, then you write down that in the resting state, the thick filament partially overlaps the free ends of the thin filament. Noted?
Yes.
So this is your structure showing. Now what will happen there is when the muscle contracts, remember the muscle contraction is explained by the sliding filament theory. We call it as sliding filament. अब why you are calling sliding filament? क्योंकि जब contraction होगा तो कोशिश करो यहाँ समझने की that ये जो gap है this will come be filled up. From this side, the light band will come nearer, and this side also it will come. And this light bands will be sliding over this dark band. Now try to see it कितना आएंगे ये एक दूसरे को touch करेंगे. And the same gap is here and here. Would you understand where is my cursor? Speak up, then only I'll understand that you all are getting the things.
Yes, ma'am.
Rubisha, are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, देखो यहाँ कर्सर समझ में आ रहा है ना कि यहाँ पर इतना स्पेस छूटा, यहाँ इतना स्पेस छूटा. अब when from both the sides these light band will be sliding, so they will touch each other. And how much contraction will take place? बस इतना contract होंगे जब तक कि ये दोनों मतलब there is no contraction of the dark band. Only which bands are moving?
Light band.
Light band means this thin filament will slide over the thick filament and that will contact. इसीलिए अपन उस पोर्शन को बोल रहे हैं functional sarcomere. Understood, everyone? This much is clear to you? I am repeating. Each myofibril is made up of or consists of alternate light and dark band. The light band is known as I band or isotropic band. It is made up of actin protein. The actin protein in the center has got a dark line known as Z line. The portion in the light band between the two Z lines, we call it as functional sarcomere. Alternating to the light band is a dark band. Dark band is a thick filament. It is made up of myosin. Myosin also has in the center, since myosin is a dark one, so this dark filament has in the center the light line or the light band, and that we call it as Hansen's disk. What is it called? Speak up.
Hansen's
Speak
disk.
up. Hansen's disk. Okay. Now, the distance between two Z lines, I said it is known as sarcomere or functional sarcomere. When they will be resting, it will be partially overlapping the free ends of the thin filament. But when it will be contracting, so you will find that the two light bands will join together. They slide on the dark band, and only that much till that is the width of your the length of your dark filament, and the muscle will contract. Now we'll see the next slide. Now one more figure is there in your textbook. I'll take up to the timed out now. I'll have to log in once again. How many have understood this much? Raj has understood.
Yes, ma'am.
This is very important. It's given very nicely in the textbook also. You will have to read it. Okay, and a figure is also given which you have to draw. Now the next thing which you have to understand is muscle contraction. So only these two topics are there in your chapter. The other topics have been deleted. So you will not draw that bundle, fascicle and fascia diagram. Now that one you will not draw. So now little you try to see this, and you will get an idea the two types of the muscle fiber, how they are sliding, that is your myofibrils, the light band and dark band, or the actin and the myosin filaments, how they slide. So which one is sliding? Actin filament is sliding or the myosin filament is sliding? Tell me quickly. Devratna?
Ma'am, actin.
Dev- Actin is sliding over
Myosin.
myosin. Okay. Okay, so we find sliding filaments, red muscles and white muscles. This is also given in the textbook. You can just read it and you will be able to make the difference from your by reading in your textbook also. They have smaller diameter, they have larger diameter. Myoglobin is present and myoglobin is absent. So remember, the protein is known as myoglobin. Okay, and this protein is present in the red one, so it is appearing red. And white muscles do not have the myoglobin, that is why it is not having the red color. And the red muscles have got numerous mitochondria. So more energy production will be there in these red muscles. But white muscles have less number of the mitochondria, and they are richly red ones are richly supplied with the blood capillaries, but the white muscles have not much supply of blood capillaries, and sarcoplasmic reticulum is less, but white ones have more sarcoplasmic reticulum. So can someone tell what is the sarcoplasmic reticulum function? Ritu will tell me what is the function of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Ritu,
Ma'am, synthesis of protein.
बिल्कुल नहीं. Just now I told you. Who is remembering?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes.
It helps in the storage of calcium ion.
It stores calcium ions. Remember, the sarcoplasmic reticulum stores the calcium ions and it plays very important role in the muscle contraction. You will see when you study the contraction of muscles. And rate of work is low but can function for longer periods. Why longer period? Because more energy production since more number of the mitochondria. Okay, so they do not get fatigued, they do not get tired. Okay, they are stimulated by thin and slow nerve fibers, and aerobic oxidation takes place in them. And in the white ones, since mitochondria are less, anaerobic oxidation takes place in them, and they are stimulated by thick and fast nerve fibers. Clear? So this you try to prepare it. So structure of the muscle fiber, the same what we have discussed. It is showing here in the diagram how one by one the physical will have inside it the what muscle fibers are having inside it what the myofibrils. Okay, and myofibrils are having the alternate actin and myosin. Now this figure I wanted, everyone will make this figure. Okay, this is the structure of the actin protein and this is your myosin. Okay, now so actin filament, which is a thin filament, it is made up of four filaments helically wound. Can you see this helically wound? रस्सी जैसे एक दूसरे के ऊपर wound है. Okay, so two F filaments and two filaments of tropomyosin. So now see, each actin is a polymer of G actins. These globular, G is for globular. ये गोल गोल जो units दिख रहे हैं, these are the globular actins. So the F filament is made up of this. So one is this one and another one is this one. तो कितने हो गए F filaments? How many F filaments are there? Barbie. Now try to understand this figure. Quickly try to see, and this is given very nicely in the textbook also. Try to understand. You'll have to draw this figure. Barbie, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Neha,
Ma'am,
am I
two.
audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, Barbie is not there. Okay,
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
I'm
so
there.
ma'am,
let
she is
us try.
there.
Okay, so but not speaking up means you will leave the class or what? Okay,
No,
I'm
ma'am.
now
I'm there.
explaining. Huh?
Ma'am, she is speaking, but her voice is very low, so it is not
Acha,
so audible.
nowadays I don't know why Barbie's voice is going low. Okay, so now try to see ये जो green structures globular units का बना हुआ है, these are the F actins. Okay, and then this is rope like structure which is red colored, these are the tropomyosin. So these filaments have troponin, which is a complex protein distributed on them at regular intervals. So can you see this one? तो ये रस्सी जैसा वो ट्रोपोमायोसिन है and 1 2 3 at regular interval you find the what is present a complex protein troponin. So how many troponin? तीन globular units का एक troponin ये बना हुआ है. Could you understand everyone? Devratna, is it clear this structure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now we'll try to understand the myosin filament. This is the structure of actin filament and myosin filament. So myosin is made up of the several units of monomer protein. We call it as meromyosin. अब एक मीरोमायोसिन का स्ट्रक्चर समझना है that each myromycin is having the this globular head and a short arm, and which you call it as the heavy myromycin. Okay, so this much part is your heavy myromycin. Okay, having the head and the pickup
Tail.
head tail नहीं है short arm. What you call
Sorry,
it?
short arm.
हाँ, इतना portion. Okay, try to see this much head and this short arm. We call it as heavy myromycin, and then this the coiled upon itself. Can you see this structure? Okay, this is the tail. So it is known as the light myromycin. So each myocene is made up of several myromycin. Clear? And एक myromycin का structure, this is the structure having head and a short arm and the tail. So how many parts? How many parts? Devansh is there.
Three parts:
Devansh is, three parts. What are those three parts?
head, short arm, and tail.
हाँ, okay, the globular head. You give that adjective. क्योंकि वो globular है तो उसको explain कर दो. Globular head, a short arm and a tail. Okay, so globular head and short arm part, we call it what? What you call it? HMM. What is that HMM?
Myromycin.
Heavy myromycin. What is HMM?
Heavy
Heavy
myromycin.
myromycin.
हाँ, and what is this tail called?
Light myromycin.
हाँ, और total मिला के what is that full? It is the structure of what?
Myosin.
Myromycin.
And these such myromycins, many units of such myromycins will make up what? Will make up what?
Myosin filament.
This one? Myosin filament. Yes. Okay. Understood everyone? ठीक है? ऐसे बहुत सारे
Yes, ma'am.
myromycins myosin. Very clear? Now your work will be that you will read this whole structure. We have discussed today the detailed structure of skeletal muscle. What we have completed today? Speak up. Devratna.
Skeletal.
Detailed structure of skeletal muscle. So now I hope you understood कहाँ तक समझना है. पूरा एक्टिन मायोसिन का स्ट्रक्चर तक समझ में आना चाहिए. And you will draw which two figures? Which two figures I want you to make? That sliding one, okay, showing the functional sarcomere. That figure you will make, and you will make this A and B figure. These are the contractile proteins. Done, everyone? So contraction, this figure is also there in your textbook. So I'll explain you this sliding filament theory next time. So I'm stopping the sharing. You will read this much pages of your textbook. Okay, covering how much? Covering how much? Till the structure of the contractile protein. Devanshi, clear or not?
Yes, ma'am.
So you will read the textbook, these topics, and then if you don't understand anything, and you'll draw the diagram also. Which diagrams? Understood now?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
two diagrams you will make, actin and myosin and the sliding filament. So when you will explain the theory that the sliding filament, that diagram is important, which shows the functional sarcomere. Okay, so now that was all about the structure of the skeletal muscle, and the mechanism contraction of the skeletal muscle we'll take up next time. So you will send me the figures of the previous chapter, everyone. Okay. And file work, how much is done?